If you're planning on taking a huge trip to go see a major wrestling show in the near future, before making these plans, check out WrestlingTravel.com. It's convenient, they organize the travel packages for you, and you get to hang out with other wrestling fans, meet wrestling personalities and stars, and have the entire travel experience taken care of for you. So if you're going to WrestleMania in Tampa next year, the Royal Rumble in Houston, All Out and StarCast, or even New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom, WrestlingTravel.com has a package for you. Check them out, click the link down below, and have a great trip. That's right, and I am going to the All Out show, and I will probably be, hopefully, going to Wrestle Kingdom, fingers crossed. So if you want to join me on that, check out WrestlingTravel.org. So, Dragon Ball Super. Boy, this manga chapter, if you like action, you're going to get lots of it here. This is manga chapter 49, and much like how I did last month, I want to keep the same formula going here with the way I have it set up with the window. Very limited manga panels because Shueisha has been striking down channels and people, so I'm going to keep everything as fair use as possible, and thus very limited manga panels. Make sure you check out the manga when you get a chance to from one of the official distributors, because if you like action, you're going to get it here. So in the last manga chapter, Moro made 3 wishes, and we know what 2 of the wishes are, but there's one wish that we still do not know what he wished for. And also, while that was going on, Majin Buu had essentially allowed the Grand Supreme Kai to take control of his body. So the Dai Kaioshin is now fully in control of himself, and he is on a mission to stop Moro. Now, the manga chapter actually goes into a little bit of an interesting twist, because we find out that while this is going on, Moro has been slowly draining New Namek of its energy. So he wants to make New Namek a victim planet like the other ones that he had conquered in the past. If you remember a few manga chapters ago, we saw the flashback scene. So Moro himself, is doing it again. And I feel bad for the Namekians. They just can't catch a break, can they? How many planets have they lost? But nonetheless, Mirus and Jocko tell Goku and the others that they have to hurry up and get off the planet because they might end up getting absorbed themselves. Now, in the last manga chapter, we saw that the Grand Elder of Namek was killed, and then Moro made his wish to Purunga, and a lot of folks were saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. If the Grand Elder's killed, does that not disable the Dragon Balls? Well, we find out in this manga chapter, thanks to a conversation that Jocko had with Eska, that before the Elder died, that he essentially would be designated to be the next elder, and thus the elder sort of passed down his abilities to him. So the Grand Elder, before he died, managed to do a quick switcheroo, and as a result of that, Eska is now the one who is essentially the final ingredient in making sure the Dragon Balls work, and that is why the wish was made. So Toyotaro managed to dodge a quick plot hole there, or what could have been one, even though I had assumed that it was just Moro making the wish ahead of time. I was mistaken on that. It looks like the Grand Elder did pass the powers down to the next one, which we've seen before. I mean, we've seen Saichoro in Dragon Ball Z do that. We've seen that before, so it's not like it's a new thing. And he knew he was going to die, so he pretty much entrusted Eska to take care of everything. And, of course, the idea is they're going to have to figure out a way to defeat Moro, or else the Namekians will never be in peace. So Goku, Vegeta, and the Grand Supreme Kai all team up against Moro in a 3-on-1 battle. And I really love the way the art is done here. I love how Toyotaro was able to, draw this in an old classic Dragon Ball Z style. I really enjoyed seeing this. And I gotta be honest, Toyotaro has improved a lot in the past few months as far as an artist goes. You're never too old to get better, and I think his art has improved. I don't think he's quite at Toriyama's level, especially during Toriyama's prime, but he's still a solid artist, and his fight scenes in this manga chapter, I think, are effective. I mean, the majority of the manga chapter is a bunch of fight scenes. But as Goku, Vegeta, and the Grand Supreme Kai are fighting him, turns out he's not really there. It's an illusion. And we find out that Moro is gathering energy from a different part of the planet. So again, another incredible trick by this great villain. I love how he's using his brains to outsmart Goku and Vegeta. I say this every month, but it's refreshing to see this. I hope y'all agree. So this fight ends up going from the planet out into space. And I was really excited about this because we haven't really seen a fight in space in Dragon Ball in quite some time. In fact, the only one that you could even consider being remotely close to it, except for some anime-only filler, was when Goku fought Beerus. And even that wasn't fully in space. They were hovering around the atmosphere somewhere. But there are some contradictions. And I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, well, wait a minute, can they breathe in space or not? Because in this manga chapter, Goku and Vegeta both state that while they're able to hang in there with Moro for a while, when Moro and the Grand Supreme Kai go fight further into space, they couldn't go because they can't breathe in space. But that does contradict some things that were said in the earlier anime of DBZ and whatnot. So I did do a video like 3 years ago talking about whether or not they can breathe in space. Please watch that video. I'll leave a link to it at the end of this video so y'all can see the full analysis of what's going on, because there are tons of contradictions here between the anime, the manga, and now Super. But as of this continuity, I guess, Goku and Vegeta cannot breathe in deep space, and thus it's up to the Grand Supreme Kai to do what he can, and we have this really fun fight in space. But this time, the fight is much different, because while we saw the Grand Supreme Kai whooping the crap out of Moro for the last couple of manga chapters, now things have changed because Moro has the advantage. Absorbing the power from planet New Namek was enough to give him a boost, and now he's able to fight toe-to-toe with the former Majin Buu, or whatever you want to call it, the Dai Kaioshin. So what ends up happening is the energy that Moro's absorbing actually ceases to be absorbed for a second, but Goku and Vegeta are still in the atmosphere. So the Galactic Patrol goes on their ship to go pick them up to make sure they're going to be okay. But while that's going on, Moro and Dai Kaioshin are still going at it. And once again, I love the fact that Goku and Vegeta are very much supporting characters in this fight, and it's up to the Dai Kaioshin to do what he can. And Moro himself discusses how he was surprised at all the techniques that we saw the Grand Supreme Kai use, but no matter what's happened in all these years that he's been locked away, the power of the Grand Supreme Kai is just not going to work now after Moro got powered up. So the good guys are once again in trouble, and Moro, again, I have a smile on my face, figures out a way to get around it one way or another. Whatever it takes, like the Avengers Endgame promos said. So the Dai Kaioshin decides that the time has come for him to use his trump card, which is the technique that he used to seal Moro away many, many, many years ago. And surprising to everybody, including the audience, including me, Moro is laughing about it. He's saying, yeah, go ahead, try it. It's just not going to work anymore. And at his current state, that he just doesn't have enough power, which I think is really interesting, because the Grand Supreme Kai himself acknowledges that, yes, I am not as strong as I used to be. And meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta realize that, yeah, this is a problem because Moro is getting stronger and the Dai Kaioshin's power is just not enough. And they, of course, get on the ship and they're starting to discuss what they can do to beat Moro. Now, we find out some very interesting details, very interesting ones that tie into the End of Z storyline when Goku meets Oob. And this is somewhat of a retcon. I mean, it is a retcon, but it's a pretty smart retcon. I got to give Toyotaro credit. So we find out from Mirrors that when the Grand Supreme Kai was absorbed by Majin Buu, of course, that original version of Majin Buu became Fat Buu, but that was the complete version of Buu. If you remember back in the Buu saga, Majin Buu spit out, or at least released from his body, the evil Buu, and they wound up being two separate beings. The evil Buu would eventually become Kid Buu. So Mirrors believes that the actual incredibly high power that the Dai Kaioshin had is not part of the Majin Buu that we know, even though his spirit is. The power was transferred over to Kid Buu. Now, this is interesting because it makes sense in that Majin Buu was originally one being that became two, and they, of course, fought each other a couple times, of course, mainly during the final battle of Dragon Ball Z before the End of Z time skip, the 10-year time skip, and it makes sense as to how Kid Buu was so much more powerful and so much harder to beat. Now, that being said, the fact that we now know that there was a piece of the Grand Supreme Kai's power in Kid Buu, could that explain as to why Oob was strong enough to battle Goku during the End of Z episodes? Because remember, if they're not going to retcon anything and Goku keeps his powers at the end of Z, how in the hell was Oob so strong against Goku? Well, obviously Goku was suppressing his power against Oob during the End of Z, but nonetheless, it makes sense to how much potential Oob has. He not only has some of the Kid Buu power, but also some of the Grand Supreme Kai's power, and to me, that's pretty awesome. I do not think we're going to see Oob in this arc at all. I don't see it happening because, remember, even though they have teased Oob, Goku has not met Oob yet. So if Goku meets Oob early, it will change the End of Z. And Toyotaro himself said that they are not going to be retconning that. So as far as we know, with the exception of that weird Bulma 5-year plot hole thing, Oob and Goku have never met and they won't. So because of that, it's not going to be a factor. However, what about the future of Dragon Ball Super? Will Oob become a team player or a major player now that he has this power? Either way, I was happy with the way that Toyotaro had written this because it is not a plot hole. In fact, it actually helps add to the lore of the Majin Buu character, the overall Buu character. Now, the manga chapter comes to a close with them coming up with an idea of what to do. So the Supreme Kai realizes that Goku beating Kid Buu with the Genkidama, that definitely did change things because that's where most of his power lie. So we find out that their plan is to have Mirrors distract Moro, then have the Daikaioshin teleport Moro with his version of instantaneous movement to the surface of the planet, and then have it be an even fight with Goku, Vegeta, and Grand Supreme Kai against Moro. Now again, how that's an even fight, I'll never understand because it's going to be 3-on-1, but at least it's going to be without the advantage of space. So they do this, and the manga chapter ends with us kind of going back to square one again, where they're back on the planet. Goku and Vegeta are confidently at full strength. This time they are sure they can win, but Moro reminds them that he still has that secret third wish that we still don't know what it is. So this manga chapter was essentially a lot of action, but not much in the way of story. There were some cool revelations, but nothing really progressed the story. We're kind of back to where we were again, but I'm okay with that because up next is manga chapter 50, and that could be the grand finale of this arc, or maybe not. See, I'm not really sure where they're going to go with this. There have been rumors it's going to end soon, but I don't know because we still have no idea what Moro's third wish is, and that's going to be a plot thread looming over our heads as we continue the story arc. So thank you again for watching. Special thanks to Dragon Ball Hype and Goresh for the scans and translation. Your magic is real and I believe in you. Check out WrestlingTravel.org and check out these videos as well. Have a nice one.